The crisis in the Capitol, more finger-pointing as the president and Republicans dig in their heels on the budget. American troops find new ways to get into Bosnia, but the going is slow. And democracy in Russia, early returns suggest a communist surge.
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News, reported by Elizabeth Vargas.
Good evening. Another day and no deal to reopen the American government. Late today, a possible late-hour reprieve failed. With the president and the Republicans blaming each other, 250,000 federal workers face a Christmas week furlough. NBC's Joe Johns joins us live from Capitol Hill with the latest. Good evening, Joe.
Good evening, Elizabeth. After a full day of posturing on the Sunday talk shows and here at the Capitol, congressional leaders and the White House have virtually given up any hope of ending the government shutdown by tomorrow morning. Amen.
Moments after the Senate convened late today, Majority Leader Robert Dole announced bad news that there will be no temporary spending measure to put the government back to work.
I think it's fairly certain they'll not be getting any continuing resolutions from the House today, so we're not be in session here but a few moments.
Earlier in the day, in an effort to end the budget impasse, White House Chief of Staff Leon Panetta came to Capitol Hill with a message from the president.
Just to keep working.
Panetta was here to meet with Democrats and a bipartisan group of Senate moderates whose budget proposal calls for both liberals and conservatives to compromise on key issues.
We think that we're going to have to get an agreement from the center working out, not from the left or from the right.
For his part, the president praised the moderate senators and sounded a hopeful note.
And I just hope that we can reopen the government tomorrow and then continue these talks in good faith.
Senate Majority Leader Robert Dole said earlier on NBC's Meet the Press that if he, House Speaker Newt Gingrich, and the president sat down alone together, they could work out a budget deal in a day or less.
I wish he'd call me on the budget and say, Bob, come down, let's talk about this.
Democrats did manage to talk among themselves in the House. Party leaders were seeking to work out some acceptable compromise between conservative Blue Dog Democrats, the liberal wing of the party, and the White House. Tomorrow morning, the bulk of about 280,000 government employees must comply with orders to show up for work, then be furloughed, just like last month. While this shutdown affects far fewer workers than the first, it still forces the closing of tourist attractions and monuments operated by the federal government during the busy Christmas tourist season.
This evening, Republicans refused another attempt by Democrats to open the government with a temporary spending bill and keep it open until Friday. Elizabeth?
Joe, moderates from both sides have been meeting to forge their own compromise. What are the chances a solution will come from there rather than from the president and the hardline Republicans?
Well, for a long time now, conservatives have been entrenched on the right and liberals have been dug in on the left. The hope is that if both sides can get together and sacrifice some parts of their issues that they're most concerned about, they can get the government out of this trouble.
All right, Joe Johns from Capitol Hill tonight. Thank you. Turning now to Bosnia and the huge troop deployments slowed by bad weather and red tape. 4 days of freezing fog have grounded all flights to Tuzla. The few troops who made it in today diverted to Sarajevo or took a train into Croatia, and even they ran into bureaucratic delays. NBC's Kevin Tibbles is in Sarajevo tonight.
A dozen planes made it through the fog and cold of the Bosnian winter, landing at the Sarajevo airport. 2 of the transports were American, bringing supplies and 20 troops in to patrol the peace.
You got to look at the weather, and coming in over the mountains like that, it's very difficult to get in.
And while the weather has socked in the airfields, the peace continues to hold, but the shooting hasn't stopped completely.
What do you think about the peace?
Tenuous.
You think it's tenuous at best?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, we tried to come in. This is our 3rd trip trying to get in here. Yesterday as we're coming in, we saw some sporadic gunfire from the airplane. So
those U.S. peacekeepers who are managing to make it into Bosnia by air are being diverted through here, the Sarajevo airport.
The flights were supposed to go to Tuzla in northeast Bosnia, but the few troops there were reduced to throwing snowballs while they waited for the icy fog to lift. On the ground in Aviano, Italy, the troops were waiting too, stuck for another day passing time until the heavy Bosnian weather clears.
Just the waiting is the hardest part. The Air Force has got to make a call on the weather, so we've been waiting for a while now.
In fact, the only sure way to get into Bosnia was over land, which is what this group of soldiers was doing. 130 of them from the 1st Cavalry crossed into Croatia from bases in Central Europe this afternoon. In Sarajevo, NATO is scrambling to work around the weather.
It's cold, it's foggy, but we're trying to operate in these conditions and, we're dealing with it.
And the peacekeepers will have to deal with the delays a while longer, as the heavy weather in Bosnia is supposed to get worse before it gets better. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, Sarajevo.
When NBC Nightly News continues, the big vote in Russia. Will the communists make a big comeback? Also, the presidential vote in Haiti. Voters already know the outcome. It's their future they're wondering about. And learning about dating and relationships at a very young age. Yep, everybody's answers.
Okay, let's meet at Red Lobster in an hour.
Red Lobster? This holiday season, the place to meet is Red Lobster, where for a short time you can enjoy our ultimate feast with all your favorites on one plate. Succulent rock lobster, roasted shrimp, tender snow crab, and large golden fried shrimp. It's the ultimate feast, but hurry, it ends soon. Happy holidays from Red Lobster. And for your holiday parties, enjoy party platters to go.
For a conquest like this, you need the cushioning and support of a walking shoe and the nerve to look down. Easy Spirit, inside's our walking shoe, outside's the whole world.
Something's been overlooked in the design of women's razors. The woman. But there's one razor that adjusts to your legs and underarms, even bikini line. Norelco's Silhouette, the first razor designed to shave a woman where a woman shaves.
Presenting the newest Black & Decker Dustbuster and Morgan the Butler. With twice the power as before, this Dustbuster will pick up practically anything around the house. Morgan, the newest Dustbuster. More power, more pickups.
In the world's biggest country tonight, Russian voters went to the polls to elect a new parliament, and the early indications cannot be very comforting to President Boris Yeltsin. The first return suggests the communists have struck a responsive chord. NBC's John Dancy has our report from Moscow.
From the village of Alexandrovka near the Black Sea to the suburbs of Moscow, across 11 time zones and thousands of miles, millions of Russians went to the polls today. It was Russia's second free election in history, a visible declaration that whatever this country's problems, democracy is flourishing. Boris Yeltsin voted in a sanatorium near Moscow, where he's recovering from a mild heart attack. Asked if the country would resurrect communism, Yeltsin replied,
Нет. И еще раз нет.
No and again no, he said. With 43 parties on the ballot, preferences seemed widely scattered. Young soldier Rustem Saberdanov said he voted for Yeltsin's party, called Our Home is Russia. But Russia's bad boy opposition candidate Vladimir Zhirinovsky was pulling votes too. 20-year-old Andrei Losiev voted for him.
I think the Zhirinovsky is the single hope of Russia.
But the hope of many older Russians is Gennady Zhuganov, Communist Party leader. His party may be the biggest gainer in this election, as older voters turn back to them to solve some of Russia's problems.
It's very simple. They become the leading opposition vote. If you want to vote against the status quo, you vote for the communists today.
A team of international observers is monitoring the voting.
It's very important for the future of the country and for the future of the world that this be a free and fair and well-participated-in election.
The turnout was huge. The Central Election Commission says 56% of registered voters went to the polls. And as early ballots began rolling in, it was clear there was a large anti-Yeltsin vote. In the first polls to close in the Far East, Yeltsin's party could manage less than 6%, while the Communists and Zhirinovsky's party together got more than 37% of the vote. If that trend continues, it means Yeltsin will not win any easy victories in the Russian parliament in the months ahead.
This is a clear rebuke of Boris Yeltsin, at least in the Far East and Siberia.
So, Boris Yeltsin is still president, but running this country is going to be a lot more difficult from this day on. Based on the early results, millions of voters have sent him a message, and the message is, we don't like what you're doing. John Dancy, NBC News, Moscow.
Another key contest where the misery index is also high, the vote for president in Haiti. It's a crucial test for Haiti's young democracy, and so far the voting has been remarkably free of violence. But with the outcome virtually assured, many Haitians are wondering what will happen to them next. NBC's chief foreign affairs correspondent Andrea Mitchell is in Port-au-Prince tonight.
Sunday morning on Election Day in Haiti. It could be almost any Sunday. People went to church, did their chores, and seemed to ignore a chance to take part in the first peaceful change of government in Haiti's history. Whether tired of politics or unhappy with the candidates, most people chose not to vote. At least those who did found less confusion than in legislative elections last June. He's telling them to put their X's in the right place on the ballots, or their votes won't count. What time did you open today?
About 7. At 7.
It's a little late.
Yes, I know that, but we had the problem.
The chief problem, he overslept. The clear frontrunner, René Préval, known as the political twin of outgoing President Aristide.
Good step for the democracy in Haiti.
But Préval does not have Aristide's charisma or popularity. With Aristide not on the ballot, many of his supporters stayed home. Some voted for Préval as a stand-in for Aristide. So you voted for René Préval because Préval will stick to the same line as President Aristide? And this woman voted for Aristide's party without knowing that Préval was even on the ballot. You don't know the man, you just voted for the number. There were still some irregularities. Jean-Louis Joseph had an election card but was turned away at the polls. They said you couldn't vote here. Your name was not on the list?
No.
But this time, an election monitor was there to fix the problem. Joseph was finally able to vote.
Did you ask them what time they opened this morning?
U.S. monitors checked a voting place today where one of Haiti's most brutal election massacres took place in 1987.
This was a place where blood was running in the streets.
8 years ago, Haiti tried to hold its first free election. People were lined up here waiting to vote when suddenly gunmen backed by the army barged in, mowing down 16 people, seriously injuring 30 more. Today, this polling place is quiet. To keep the peace this time, security was everywhere.
Everything's quiet, no problems.
But this being Haiti, violence is always nearby. Inmates in the overcrowded national prison decided to try a jailbreak, thinking police would be tied up with the elections. Guards quickly got them back into their cells. But the election itself, peaceful.
It's one that is clearly reflecting the will of the majority of Haitians.
Election monitors say tonight there is a chance this could be the first generation of Haitians to live in a democracy. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Port-au-Prince.
When NBC Nightly News continues, the do's and don'ts of dating, learning to live with the opposite sex.
I was really downing those tablets. Started to think there was something really wrong with my stomach. Was I relieved when my doctor said I just needed a stronger antacid tablet?
Mylanta tablets are strong medicine, made stronger than Tums, stronger than any other antacid tablet, and made with calcium.
Unbelievable.
Mylanta tablets, made stronger, made with calcium.
My doctor said Mylanta.
You ready?
Yes.
Tell me what you smell.
I have no idea.
You're really stuffed.
Yes.
I have a nasal spray I want to give you. Now, what do you smell?
That's an orange.
You got it. Curious about the product?
Dristan.
Dristan 12-hour nasal spray.
Man, I can breathe.
My dad has been my dentist since my first tooth has come in. This is the first toothpaste that he's ever sent me.
This is Tartar Control Mentadent with fluoride, baking soda, and peroxide. Mentadent helps stop tartar before it forms. Tartar Control Mentadent.
It has everything.
You build a razor with a precision groove to help the Norelco lift and cut system shave closer than ever before. And what do you get? The Norelco razor, our closest shave ever.
I can't believe we're eating a prune. We are. Sweet, moist, delicious. You're changing our mind. I always do.
California prunes. Let your mouth make your mind up.
Dateline Tuesday. A mother tracks her son's killer.
Somebody knows what happened.
Why was she able to do what the cops couldn't? The chilling story of how Justin got his justice. Dateline Tuesday.
In focus this evening, males, females, and misunderstandings caused by the gender gap. NBC's Odetta Rogers-Clark tonight on roles and relationships.
It's a sight being seen less and less in modern America.
I will love you and honor you.
All the days of my life.
All the days of my life.
Newlyweds celebrating their wedding day. According to census figures, there are almost 83 million unmarried Americans. The number of people living alone is increasing dramatically. 1 in 4 adults have never married. Many choose the single life. Most, though, are searching for that significant other. But romance in the 90s is a tricky business. Relationships can be rocky.
Do you believe in fate?
Cheryl Lavin is a reporter for the Chicago Tribune. For the past 10 years, she's been writing about relationships in a column called Tales from the Front.
I think that women just don't realize that it is far more important to them at a certain age to find somebody. Every date that they have, probably past the age of 15, they are thinking, is this the man that I'm going to marry? And is this the man that's going to be the father of my children? Is he going to be a good provider? It's where men, for a much longer time, just want to have a good time.
And that difference can lead to difficulties, mixed signals between males and females. Attitudes about what dating is like are formed even before kids are old enough to have dates. In Rhode Island, 1,100 seventh graders were asked this question. A man and a woman are on a date, and the woman leads the man on. Does the man have the right to sexual intercourse without the woman's consent? 57% of the boys said yes, but so did 27% of the girls. Almost a third of the boys also said a man has the right to sexual intercourse if he spends a lot of money on a woman. Peg Langhammer is executive director of the Rape Crisis Center, which took the survey.
The way to deal with this is not to sweep it under the rug, but to really discuss these issues with kids, starting at very young ages, that it's really in how we help to shape their attitudes that we train them to be the responsible adults of tomorrow.
Some of that training comes in workshops like this one.
Haven't any of you ever sat close to somebody you didn't want to be kissed by?
Yeah.
About 6,000 Rhode Island students from grade school to high school attend 3 or 4 sessions each year. These are 5th graders, and at this age, the difference between being friendly and being flirtatious is fuzzy.
Would it be okay for his to try and kiss her at the end of the day? Yes. No.
There are no wrong answers. The goal is to encourage thought.
But not only talk, what's the other part that remember you have to have? You need to listen to each other, too.
A good lesson for those just learning about life. Good, too, for couples just beginning their life together. And even for lovers preparing to celebrate 53 years of marriage. Odetta Rogers-Clark, NBC News.
In a moment, the dramatic drop in the nation's murder rate. We'll tell you why when NBC Nightly News continues.
Mailboxes, etc. can pack and ship almost any gift.
No job's really too large or too small.
I'm going to put some foam packaging material in the box.
I want to make sure that all of these areas are protected.
We might double box it.
You'd bubble wrap it.
Oh, the bubbles. We'd put reinforced cardboard on here.
Tape it up and ship it out.
We'll get your packages there safely and on time.
I'll have to run over it with a forklift to break it. I shouldn't have said that.
Depend on mailboxes, etc. It's not what we do, it's how we do it.
Anacin, more relief than the regular strength of Bayer or Tylenol. Anacin, when you really got a headache.
So, what do you need when it's hours since lunch and years until dinner, but you really want something and your stomach is saying, have one of these, while your brain is saying, don't even think about it, and oh, that's attractive, but this might be perfectly awful to eat because you crave something different than the usual stuff that might make you feel great and not icky, that's wild and alive and zesty and zingy and quite frankly perfect? The
With a full serving of vegetables, it might just make you feel better.
Presenting the newest Black & Decker Dustbuster and Morgan the Butler. With twice the power as before, this Dustbuster will pick up practically anything around the house. Morgan, the newest Dustbuster. More power, more pickups.
It wouldn't be the holidays without pie, so today we're going to make an easy pie crust from scratch.
Easy? We'll show them easy.
First, gather all your ingredients, measure, mix, make a ball.
Or just unfold, fill, and bake.
For a pie crust that's tender, flaky, and tastes like you made it from scratch, follow this simple recipe. Pillsbury refrigerated pie crust.
It's as easy as you know what.
Tonight on an all-new Mad About You, it's their first New Year's apart. And Paul drops the ball in Times Square.
Cable's going to slip! What are you kidding me? The 1 year I decide to stay home.
And on Hope and Gloria, meet Dennis's ex-wives.
Yeah.
Your family!
Family this!
All new NBC tonight.
Dramatic news from the Justice Department tonight. The FBI reports a big drop in the nation's murder rate. It is the largest decline in 3 decades. The president says the major reason is his community policing plan, but a skeptical Congress says, prove it. NBC's Pete Williams is at the White House tonight.
The FBI says violent crime was down 5% for the first 6 months of the year compared to the first half of '94. Murder showed the biggest drop, down 12%. Robbery was down 10%, rape down 7%. In cities of over 1 million people, the drop in the murder rate was even bigger, down 17%. The Clinton administration says part of the reason for this good news is its program to put 100,000 more police on the nation's streets, begun last year. But now the administration is fighting to keep it. Attorney General Reno walked the streets of Lowell, Massachusetts earlier this month, where 20 new cops are now on the beat, part of a campaign to urge Congress not to kill the program. She says these latest figures prove it's working.
We see, again, a reduction in violence in many major cities across the country who have had community police officers on the streets where they count.
But Republicans in Congress cut the program out of the budget, saying the best way to fight crime is to give block grants to the states and let them decide how to spend the money, whether on new jails, more patrol cars, hiring more prosecutors, or more police. The president is expected to veto the crime budget this week because it would kill the community policing program. And NBC News has learned that the president will also ask Congress this week to give prosecutors new power to fight juvenile crime, the part of the crime picture that is not improving. He wants prosecutors to decide whether to try juveniles in adult court if they commit crimes with guns. Judges now make those decisions. Both parties in Congress predict the president will eventually get his Cops on the Beat program because he has staked so much on it. The only question is what he'll have to give up in the budget to keep it. Pete Williams, NBC News at the White House.
Another issue affecting the quality of life for millions of Americans, health insurance. A disturbing report from the Census Bureau finds that almost 40 million Americans had no health insurance in 1994. That's about 10 million more than previously estimated. When NBC Nightly News continues, cultivating culture in the classroom. A new generation learns about heritage and history.
On the face of things, Tavesty seems to cost a bit more than these cold medicines, but prices can be deceiving. See, one little 12-hour Tavesty is so effective at relieving your congestion and sneezing that to get close to the same relief, you'd have to take 4 of these, or up to 6 of these, or 6 of these. So with these guys, you could pay more than twice as much, and you don't even get continuous relief. Now, there's something to feel sick about. Prescription strength Tavesty. Relief you can count on.
My wife's an outstanding dentist. She said, you have to try Mentadent toothpaste.
Mentadent is the only fluoride toothpaste with baking soda and peroxide in a pump.
There are these tiny bubbles that get between the teeth. It was like a shot of fresh air.
Mentadent.
It works.
And hold it.
Oh, sure.
Concentrate. Stretch.
Now that I can do. Plump, delicious Sunsweet Lemon Essence Pitted Prunes.
Are you with me?
Sunsweet. Always a sweet idea.
Heinz calls their turkey gravy home style, but who makes gravy at home starting with water and cornstarch? Pepperidge Farm starts with natural stocks, flour, and turkey meat. It's made like homemade to taste like homemade.
Here's a gift the whole family will enjoy. Not just day after day, but year after year. The gift of Prime Star. The only satellite TV you can get without having to buy a dish. A service that offers up to 95 channels in digital picture and sound with no equipment to buy. Starting at about $1 a day. To give this special holiday gift, call 1-800-PRIME-STAR and enjoy the holidays.
This week on Today, last-minute gift ideas. Also, Martha Stewart's Christmas cookies. Plus, Al Pacino and his explosive new movie, Heat. See what a difference today makes this week.
Finally tonight, bringing a culture to life for kids. A Mexican-American writer is reaching out to children and giving them a love of literature and an appreciation of the Mexican-American heritage. NBC's George Lewis has our story tonight from Los Angeles.
My name is Gary Soto. I was born and raised in Fresno, California.
A man who writes stories about the world where he grew up. The world of the California farm worker, the roots of his writing.
I'm Mexican-American, and what I'm interested in primarily is trying to have Mexican-American, Latino youth, live on the page.
His own youth was not easy. The family was poor, and when he was 5, Soto's father died. His report cards were so-so. Gary Soto graduated from high school with a C- average. But now the wall of his study in Berkeley, California is covered with literary awards. He says it all changed for him in the early 70s.
What occurred was that I had discovered literature. And I discovered literature when I was 19 or 20 years old and fell in love with that and wanted to make that part of my life.
Now he hopes to inspire a younger generation, creating children's literature which speaks of the Mexican-American experience.
It's very troubling for a lot of young people when they don't see themselves in any kind of medium. We're almost like an invisible kind of group. And to be invisible, it can be very disheartening for young people.
Soto is on a crusade to get young people to read. He estimates he's visited 10,000 to 15,000 kids in classrooms and libraries.
Once you begin to read, you fill up your mind, you fill up your soul.
He's had his stories read on PBS.
She was acting grown-up now, helping her mother make tamales. Their hands were sticky with masa.
And he's written, directed, and produced his own short films for kids.
Do you play La Bamba? Louie? Ah, La Cucaracha.
Soto says his young readers give him energy and ideas.
Can you write a book about our classroom?
I don't know. Who would be the main character?
Me.
Okay. All right.
To show kids this can be fun, Soto brings along fellow author Jose Luis Orozco to play the guitar and sing. Soto is also a serious writer of adult literature, but he has made his work with kids a major mission.
Okay, applause up.
Applause indeed for a man who's trying to make a positive difference in the lives of young people. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
That's Nightly News for this Sunday evening. Tom Brokaw will be here tomorrow night. I'm Elizabeth Vargas in New York. For all of us at NBC News, good night.
NBC News, now more than ever.
This is the first step in a revolutionary new treatment to cure ulcers and some stomach cancers forever. Great news for millions. A must-see health watch only on NBC Nightly News Monday.